What's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for an ML Sports Take brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, Welch & Company Jewelers, Elevate Fitness of Syracuse, and Brewerton Ace Hardware. If you Bona alums in Central New York are in and around Central New York, right? Might as well stop by Brewerton Ace Hardware. They've got everything you need from the inside to the outside of your home with spring right around the corner. They got potting soil, mulch, you name it. They carry a lot of vendor products as well, barbecue sauces and pickles and beef jerky. So make sure you stop over to Brewerton Ace Hardware. Brand new grills on a daily basis over there, as well as your mom's coming in very soon as well at Brewerton Ace Hardware. Let's break this game down, St. Bonaventure against Oklahoma. And, you know, in a game like this, there's just so much going on. There's so much to unpack. And I'm just going to kind of go bing, 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 right down the list with things that not only come off the top of my mind, but, you know, kind of evaluating the box score and the play-by-play as well. First of all, I thought this game was really, really, really officiated well. I mean, I thought that the officials got it right 9 times out of 10. You know, late in the game, Kyle Lofton, the reach run, thought that was okay. Oklahoma, you know, forced a jump ball. You can kind of see the Sooner player, you know, kind of grasping like the claw game, right? You know, that game where he put in, what is it? I don't know, a buck or $1.50 into the claw and into the game, and the claw kind of goes down to try to grab something and drop it in the bin. I thought that was what happened defensively, you know, for Oklahoma. You know, in addition, I thought this game had the feel of a tournament game, you know, especially the last 3.5, 4 minutes where it was back and forth and the timeouts and the drama and the stress and the craziness and one shot here, one shot there. You know, you knew that late in the game, you knew that 2 guys were going to make huge shots, and it was Gibson for Oklahoma, who I'll get to in a second, and Kyle Lofton making that late 3 where you said, you know what? He had the ball, and you knew he wasn't going to give it up, and you knew that he was going to make it. You really did, because Kyle Lofton at that point mentally, I mean, come on, those missed free throws against St. Louis in the A10 tournament, they're with Kyle Lofton right now. He's not only talked about it, but he has showed it. And by the way, Bonaventure, speaking of showing, there's a little of this going on, isn't there? A little jiving, a little chest bumping, a little swag, right? I mean, they look like a confident group right now. A team that, again, there were a few times in this game where I didn't think St. Bonaventure was going to keep up with Oklahoma. That doesn't mean that I didn't think that they were going to win it. But, you know, I thought that there were a couple of areas where it was, ooh, danger zone, right? Because that happens all the time in college basketball. Everywhere you go, if it's a tough environment against a good team, you know, it's a very, very difficult situation. And at any time, you know, if you don't slow the bleeding with a timeout or a key basket or whatever the case may be, even just getting to the foul line to just kind of stop things, that's what college basketball is all about, man. It's a game of runs. And there were a few points where Bonnie, you know, 6 minute to maybe like 8.5, 9 minute mark left to go in the second half. Bonaventure couldn't buy a bucket. And Oklahoma went on that 7-0 run, and, you know, they were able to withstand it. Just a terrific fighting effort tonight by St. Bonaventure. Oshuni was spectacular. I mean, he was great. 12 points, 10 rebounds. He only had 2 fouls, no blocks, but he had 2 huge steals in this game. And I just thought he was great from a position standpoint. He didn't over pursue. There was a foul where he was kind of behind the defender, and the pass got inside of him, and he reacted late, and he probably could have just gone like this and then barely jumped up and swatted the ball because he has that length, but instead he kind of went for it with the body. But my God, I mean, 2 fouls with those numbers and, you know, the position that he held, I thought it was great. Both ends of the floor tonight for Oshun. Dom Welch continues to impress. He had 3 huge 3-pointers, 3 for 8 from there, and he had 12 points, but just kind of was a little of everything all around the floor. You know, 4 rebounds, couple of assists. St. Bonaventure also got, again, Kyle Lofton with his clutch play late, the 3-pointer that was made, his passing, the floor general stuff. I will say, though, what's crazy about St. Bonnie, and they've done this all year long, for as long as these guys have played together and for as much as they know each other, God, they make a lot of bad mistakes. I mean, they make a lot of stupid mistakes. I'm thinking back to, like, there was a couple-minute stretch in the first half where Kyle Lofton, he turns the ball over, and then he just like gets frustrated. He's like, screw it, and he slaps the guy right after. And it's like, completely not needed there. Late in the game, Lofton has the ball. Holmes is out on the center. He's wide open. The shot clock, there's tons of time to go. And he fires an errant pass into Oshun, who then can't really corral it. And the ball goes back to Oklahoma. I mean, there's just so many of those instances that have happened this year for St. Bonnie. But by the same token, it's kind of like a risk reward, because with Kyle Lofton, for as many of those places he makes that are on the down, you want him with the ball late. He made the three-pointer late. He's the floor general. He doesn't fear anything. He was talking shit to the crowd late in the game as well. I mean, the guy's been unbelievable for this program, and he is hungry and he's confident. And so for every one of those bad ones, like, you get 2 or 3 good ones from every one of these guys. And a lot of people are wondering, dude, you've been like spitting a recap here without even mentioning Jaron Holmes 6 minutes in. Well, I waited this long for a reason. This guy, I'm trying to come up with words for this guy. Jalen Attaway in the first half, you didn't get a really good half out of him. He kind of came on in the second. He had 11 points total. But Jaron Holmes, right from the start, he was steady. He was scoring inside. He was scoring outside. Some of these three-pointers this guy makes, he's way back at the top of the key, and he just fires it. And you're like, yeah, not a... And then you go nuts because he makes the three-pointer. He's been spectacular in his entire Bona career and this season, but it's the toughness. It's the brute force. It's at the end of the game where he's fouled and he goes to the line and makes, Oshun struggles from the line, 65% from the free throw line. We've seen a lot of these guys down the stretch struggle. Not Holmes. He goes up to the free throw line and he's bing bang. I thought Koulibaly off the bench was fine. This is a Bonaventure team that, again, they're not a three-point shooting team. That's what I've been saying all year, but maybe they are a little bit, because tonight they go for 19 3 attempts and they make 10. And guess what? 52.6% from the floor from three. They scored 30 points on three-pointers, which means that the other 40 resembled free throw makes and, of course, two-pointers. But, everybody scored in double figures. The Ironman 5 2.0, by the way, which was pretty cool. They actually acknowledged that on the telecast. I'm very happy with that because Bonaventure basketball history is huge, not only in the NCAA, but the NIT. The Ironman 5 1.0. Now this is 2.0. And really cool that they showed the photo that they tried to kind of remake and all the rest. A lot of history, a lot going on. How about those quarter zips that the coaching staff was wearing? I got to text Coach Schmidt when I get done with this video and ask him if I can get one of those things. Hey, you don't have to send one to me for free. You don't, even though I'm promoting school all the time. I help out journalism kids. I can't go to the Hall of Fame for 2 seconds, but hey, I don't, it's okay. I'll buy one. I'll pay anything for that thing. I mean, that brown B looks like the Heritage Bonaventure, right? The old school, and the Adidas crest, and then, Bonnie's across the back. That was a sick shirt. But this program right now is showing us what they're made of. This is the team we thought could go into the NCAAs and make noise. And I know that some people kind of got the wrong idea with my last video in terms of, not the preview, but, the whole, what could have been sort of thing. It was not a video to tell people that I thought that they should be in the tournament. It was simply a what could have been video, that this team is good enough, was good enough to make the NCAAs. And, once you're in, St. Peter's, Sweet 16, right? Like, anything can happen once you're in the NCAA tournament. And for a team with these veterans who just go all out every single game, why wouldn't Bonaventure been able to get, a 9, 10, 11, 12 seed? And at that point, go win some games. Richmond beat Iowa in the first round. Richmond's in the A-10. Bonaventure is a team like Richmond you don't want to play in March. I mean, that's the reality situation. These teams, these Power Fives hosting games, Oklahoma and Colorado, Bonaventure went in there with 3,000 enrollment combined with undergraduate and graduate, no football program, no football money. They won the games on the road against 2 fringe NCAA teams. Pretty impressive. I will tell you, that for a while there, I was like, holy shit, Oklahoma's making three after three after three. But actually, at the end of the day, they only went 11 for 26 for 42.3%. But the problem was Gibson. And we had talked about him before the game. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like everybody had talked about this guy. He's a great player. I mean, Umoja Gibson, the late three that he made was unbelievable. You kind of knew and felt that he was going to make a huge shot at the end of the game, whether he was off balanced or balanced. And I thought with him, the catch and shoot, he's so good without the ball and he's so good with it. And just the catch and shoot is a real problem, to defend, because he's just got such great balance and agility. With 20 seconds to go, St. Bonnie had a 69-65 lead, and he made that shot at 69-68. Then obviously Dom Welch made the free throw. And I got to tell you, the Marvin Johnson jumper, I know that he's not exactly the go-to guy on the Sooners team, but good grief. I mean, that was a close range shot. Bonaventure over pursued on the three, and he went right in, and Johnson basically had the choice to try to make it straight up or bank it off the backboard, and he tried to make it straight up, and obviously it didn't go in. So this was and then Oshun with a huge rebound, and then the awareness, as I've said many times before, the amount of stupid plays that Bonaventure has made this year with this group that's played so well together for so long, senior-laden team. They know where each other, everybody knows where the other person is on the court. But man, they make so many bad plays, right? Like the Lofton stuff in the first half, and so many things that we've alluded to this season, just stupidity and fouls and it. But then, you look at Oshun and you're like, oh, well, like if he makes one play, it'll make up for all the rest of the stupid ones that he's made this season, and the 2 missed free throws late against St. Louis, right? Well, he did that in this game. I mean, he got that defensive rebound and that awareness, and this is always what you should do if you're a college basketball player. I've said it a million times on radio, on podcast shows, etc. You catch the ball, and you just, if you're up by 2 and you know the time, I mean, Oshun knew, okay, when that shot went up, you're looking at 14. You're looking at 6 seconds. He misses the jumper. He gets the rebound at the exact same time, 5-6 seconds to go. He catches, and he knows that if he fires it all the way down, regardless if Oklahoma can get it, the turnaround time to come back and try to nail a three-pointer from half court or beyond is almost impossible. In this particular case, Bonaventure was already all the way down the floor, and Oklahoma's guys were up front, so it didn't matter. But you know what? Bonaventure overcame a lot in this game. I mean, Oklahoma, you kind of felt a couple of times they were going to come at you, and Bonaventure controlled it. 7-0 run for Oklahoma, second half, no worries. Bonaventure came full force and hung on. You go back to the first half, too. I mean, Bonnie, again, had a great start, which is awesome. And that's another thing that we haven't seen a lot from St. Bona this year. But they are starting fast in these games. I mean, they started fast against Colorado. They started fast tonight against Oklahoma. You knew that it was going to be a game of runs, and they were going to come at you a little bit. Groves made the dunk at 7:05 left in the first half. You're going, 21-20, here we go. But then it was just back and forth. And Holmes was unbelievable. He made some unreal plays in the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game. He had the big layup with 4:26 to go after the Welch big defensive rebound. And then Holmes, after Gibson made a three-pointer with 2:27 left, Jaron Holmes scores a three-pointer with under 2 minutes left. Then he makes a free throw. He makes another jumper. I mean, it was the Jaron Holmes show in the last 4.5 minutes of the first half to keep Bonaventure, sort of, I want to almost say, in the game. I mean, if he hadn't scored some of those points and hung in there and stayed tough, 36-33, maybe it's 38-28, maybe it's 36-29. And then Bonaventure, a team that wins by 2 points tonight, maybe they don't win because Jaron Holmes doesn't produce those baskets in the last 4 minutes. And then in the second half, just real quick here, going a little bit long on the recap, but totally worth it. Just a great win for the Bonnies. You look at this situation here in the second half, and this game was, Groves makes the three, Welch answers with a layup, and it's, again, back and forth, Gold wire. makes a terrific three-point shot. Again, a lot of OU threes were pretty darn wide open. Oshun with a great tip play. He had a couple of those tip shots tonight, didn't he? The one at 14:40 was spectacular. Attaway made a layup. Then you kind of felt like he was getting going with 13:41 to go. Then he makes a jumper later on. He makes 2 free throws after getting to the hole. So he was starting to get going. Then Lofton makes a jumper. And then you fast forward all the way down. And it was just a back and forth Ali Frazier type of a game, and Kyle Lofton with that three-point jumper at 67-63, Goldwire with the 2 free throws. Oshun turns it over. Pretty much it was a bad pass, I think, from Lofton, though, that created him to not have enough balance. But then, it was, again, exchanging some turnovers and steals and all the rest. Holmes had the turnover with 30 seconds to go. Goldwire turned it over. Oshun obviously was huge with the steal. Holmes goes to the free throw line, makes a couple of free throws. Gibson makes the wild acrobatic three-pointer. You're like, oh my God, are they going to lose seriously on a three-point shot to end this game? Welch, gets fouled. He goes and makes a free throw, misses one, makes one. And then, OU had a good look, and it was Marvin Johnson missing the shot close in. Oshun gets the board, chucks it down, and that's it. So just an impressive win for St. Bonaventure. They look like they've got some swag, and I got to tell you, getting to New York now is so important because this team being hot and wanting it and all the rest, they can really take advantage of, and I know what I said before, any extra game, any extra article, any extra game talking about these guys, any extra commentary from podcasters and radio hosts, whatever it takes to talk about these guys a little bit more, a little bit of exposure is still better than none. And, at the same time, it is still the NIT. So I make the analogy. Here's where I make the analogy in closing. The Buffalo Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s, okay? I'm a diehard Bills fan. A lot of you are. If you ask most Bills fans, what would you rather have? 4 straight AFC titles or a Super Bowl? Probably going to take a Super Bowl, right? Like if Scott Norwood's kick goes through, I don't even give a shit if they go back to another Super Bowl, but they went to 4 in a row. Now, as we go, you respect that era a lot more, right? Because you had Hall of Famers across the board. Ralph Wilson, Jim Kelly, Marv Levy, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Bruce Smith. You guys know the names. Steve Tasker should be in the Hall of Fame. You guys know the names. Don Beebe, role players, etc. James Lofton's in the Hall of Fame. Nate Odoms, Cornelius Bennett, Jeff Wright, all those guys up front. Ken Hall, Howard Ballard. I can go on and on with that team. Kenneth Davis, a great secondary running back to Thurman Thomas. But the analogy is you would trade all 4 of those AFC title games for 1 Super Bowl. And so what I'm getting at with this Bonaventure team, the best analogy I can come up with is that they didn't make the NCAA tournament. They won the Charleston Classic. They were ranked 16 at one point in the season. They missed the NCAA tournament. Disappointment in the A-10. Bad losses a couple times this year. George Mason on the road, Northern Iowa at home. Right? We can go on and on with this whole thing. Disappointing not getting to the big dance. However, if they win the NIT tournament, I think that's the only way to have some sort of validation for this season. And if they don't win the NIT tournament, you can now then say, well, they won some games in the NIT. It was really nice, da-da-da. But you would trade all of that. And that's where the analogy comes in. You trade all of that for just an NCAA berth, even losing in the first round. Now, again, before this season, the goal was make it back to the NCAA tournament, just try to win one. I mean, for as proud of a program we have, St. Bonaventure, we haven't won a tournament game in a really long time. And so that was like the next hurdle, right? And so it's not going to happen with this group. But maybe they can get to New York. Maybe they can win this whole thing. And then there will be some kind of validation for this year. And guess what? You win the last game of the year. You win a tournament to close it out, beating some pretty good teams in the NIT, despite not being the NCAAs. You're the last A-10 team playing, by the way, because Richmond's out, Davidson's out. VCU's out, So could be a nice finish to the season. Let's see what they do next. I'm Mike Lindsley. Thanks for watching. This was just a tremendous basketball game tonight. It had an NCAA feel. The officiating was great. The players gave it everything on both sides. It was just really, really great to watch as a college basketball fan. And frankly, I was pre-gaming before this thing in terms of cooking dinner. I had a beer, and I was watching Michigan State Duke literally like second for second. I watched the entire game, and so I had that as an appetizer to the main entree. It was kind of crazy because I'm thinking this is the first year I've ever cared about the NIT as much as the NCAAs because our guys are in it. So keep the swagger going, keep the confidence going, keep the mojo going. Bonaventure beats Oklahoma 70-68 on the road. Let's see if they can continue in the NIT. I'm Mike Lindsley. Again, hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. I have a huge favor. Everybody who's watching, please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. And of course, we are brought to you by our great, great friends over at the Syracuse Fitness Store, Camillus Golf Club, your State Farm agent, Matt Graham, and Tiny Bubbles Laundromat. If you're in and around Central New York, you're a Bona grad, head on over to Tiny Bubbles, man. Pay range mobile app, wash, dry, fold laundry for only $1 a pound at Tiny Bubbles Laundromat. I do want to throw a tip of the cap thank you as well to our good friends, the Swan and Whitaker families, for their support of the platform, as well as the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group and Ken's Auto Detailing. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.